on Business Spotlight. All systems go for the 2016 Africa Cup Polo Tournament, and authors and bookworms encourage literacy in Johannesburg.
It's under a month to go before the coveted Africa Polo Tournament takes place in Sandton, Johannesburg. Players and visitors from across the continent will gather here at the Inanda Club for a day of sun, horses and serious competition.
It's a very glamorous affair. You know, it's one of Joburg's signature lifestyle events. And so it's a weekend of fun, fashion, polo, glamour, celebrities. And then obviously at the heart of it is the whole polo culture and what goes on and what happens in terms of sort of getting all the teams in from Africa that we can. So from that point of view, it's a very inclusive polo tournament. And, the city supported it for a number of years because, aside from being a glamorous lifestyle event which brings people and visitors into the city, it also has a very strong developmental angle. They try very hard to include previously disadvantaged people who didn't have access to things like polo, to train them up as players, but to also sort of emphasize the career and job opportunities that are available in the equestrian space. So, and the weekend that takes place really just puts a spotlight more on the glamorous side of it, but there is a very serious side to it as well, which is why the city supports this particular event.
I've been part of growing all the events over the last few years. Africa Cup has been with the club for more than 20 years, but it was quite a small event. It saw visiting teams from Africa all the years. We've only recently, over the last 5 years, spent a large amount of time on marketing and trying to grow the event, and it's kind of what you see now and keeps growing. 2015 we saw on 4,000 people come as spectators. We had 6 countries come and visit us. We had Egypt, Ghana, Uganda, Nigeria, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and then we have the South African sides that play. How the event basically works is that we invite these teams from Africa. They come and we provide horses for them, and they can compete against the South African teams that play. The event has grown to such a level now that I can't host one weekend. I actually have to have a playoff weekend for the South African sides. And historically, only the top 4 sides would go through and compete against the African sides. This year, we've made the format a little bit smaller. There are 8 teams on the final weekend of the Land Rover Africa Cup, of which we've got 2 Nigerian sides. We've got a side from Kenya, and then we have a side from Egypt. We have a very special side playing this year, and it is a side called the Above and Beyond side. It is sponsored by Land Rover. It is all part of our development program here at the Inanda Club and in partnership with Land Rover. Earlier on in the year, we had an event called the Development Cup, and this was all around the development of players. These are typically grooms who work for us in the stables, caring for the horses, feeding, brushing, this kind of thing. And they come from quite humble beginnings. We are giving them the opportunity to play polo, to progress their skills and progress in life. Some of the guys that we have coming through the ranks, we've got Zumpi. He's come through the ranks. He was my assistant coach. He's now playing off 2 goals, and he's managing his own patron, as we call them in polo. The new stars are Tokozan and Lucky, who won the MVP prize at the Development Cup, which is presented by Land Rover. And with this prize, basically Land Rover provides them with kit from head to toe, and then with an opportunity to play at the Africa Cup.
Here in Gauteng, the 2,500-year-old sport is gaining in popularity amongst people from all walks of life, and the focus is now shifting towards developing young people from previously disadvantaged backgrounds.
I grew up in the Free State on the farm. There is a small town there called Fixbeck. That's where I grew up, and I started to learn how to work the horses there on the farm, and I met different people, which is one of them encouraged me to come up here in Johannesburg to work on the horses, and then I came up here in Johannesburg at Inanda to work on the horses.
I grew up in Zimbabwe, and then when I was young, 7 years old, I started to learn to ride the horse with my dad, and then I've been riding horse for 14 years now.
So luckily I met Craig James, and he's the one who encouraged me to play polo. And I played polo with Craig and some other different people, and I end up enjoying it myself. And the other thing that I like about it, so there is a lot of things that I achieved in my life since I've become a polo player.
I've been here with Craig since last year September. It's been 1 year and a half now. I really enjoy it because I'm really work to do lesson with the kids, to help Craig as much as I can, and to do some extra lesson with him.
Polo has typically been seen as a very white-dominated sport, which is so wrong. The Africa Cup speaks very strongly about this. If you look at our spectators that are here on the day, I'm seeing a lot more people, black kids coming through. I've got Indian girls. We are seeing a really big growth in the sport across the board, from ladies and across cultures. With the Land Rover Africa Cup, what we're showing is that polo is accessible. By having a polo school and this development program at the Ananda Club, we are opening up polo and making it available to people. People no longer have to own their own polo ponies. They can come to the Ananda Club, they can get in touch with me, and we can start their polo careers from the very basics of lessons. I provide horses, and as they start playing, they rent some time from me. And this has made it a lot more accessible. I would like to see 20 Zumpis come through the ranks. You know, guys that have, and even if they don't become professional polo players, as Zumpi is becoming now and managing a sponsor and 30 horses himself, and you know, he gets paid to manage that, but when he plays now he gets professional fees. I'd like to see 20 youngsters come through the ranks. They may not all be players, they might become umpires, referees, or they might find some other place in the business world through their polo connections.
Bringing the love of literature and writing to ground level. The Joburg Books and Blogs Festival aimed to expose adults and youth in the predominantly Indian community of Lenasia to their favorite South African writers.
It's about books, it's about blogging, it's about reading and writing, releasing your creativity and community. We have bloggers, we have journalists, we have authors. The authors range from poets to novelists to fiction young adult writers. We are encouraging children to come and join us, and families to come and join us here to see how important it is for reading to be a part of everyday life, to be a part of your everyday thinking, and how it promotes your inner self.
Apart from the books on sale and other literacy-based stalls on display, youth and adults gained valuable writing tips and insights through a series of interactive workshops, panel discussions, and other activities with published South African authors.
Creativity, we are born with this infinite creative halo. And what we tend to do is when we think too much, we kind of drown out this halo like a flute drowned out by a marching band.
Literary greats like Don Matera and Ahmed Essop also joined the day, urging youth and adults to begin tapping into their creativity and focusing it toward a better South Africa. A recurring topic of discussion was around the revitalization of creativity and reading among South Africans.
My wisdom tells me it all has to begin ekai, in the house. If you don't plant the seeds of curiosity, if you don't plant the seeds of inquisitiveness with the child, with this young person, how can you expect this child to bring out the book? We have to take the seeds of consciousness first. And before you throw the seeds of consciousness, you have to soften the sod. You have to take out the weeds.
Corporates also got involved through running activities as well as using their skills base to assist in making the day a success.
We're promoting a culture of reading and writing because we feel that children don't necessarily feel that it's cool to read and write, and we want to change that.
Beyond Spice, a compilation of stories written by Indian women, was showcased on the day.
We are roughly 6 women from in and around Laudium in Pretoria, and we decided that, being of Indian origin, we wanted to showcase to the world that women, and Indian women especially, do have other things to offer besides being in the kitchen or preparing spice, and so beyond spice. The book is an art and poetry collection. I have been writing poetry for many years, decades, and some of these young artists have collaborated with me on illustrating for my poems. So the book in itself is a collection of fantastical art and poetry. I think there's a dearth of female authors, or brown female authors, and in particular, since we are South African, and I'm particularly interested in history, ancient history and our own past. I think that people of Indian origin don't have too much of a modern voice in all of the communities, and so we thought that writing and collaborating in this way would kind of increase the numbers of people that are producing such works, and hoping that our collaboration will encourage other people, especially young people and women particularly, to share their experiences of the world, to share their creativity in writing, in art, in poetry, such as I do, in music, in dance form, whatever their creativity takes them to.
After a successful day, there was an overall appeal by the organizers for other communities to emulate the event.
We'd like to see other people take up the initiative in other societies, in other areas of Joburg, and to promote reading, to make this bigger, to make this better, maybe cover it over a few days.